Hi there, welcome to our channel. I'm Vic.
I'm Nick.
And we're Envy Board Gaming. And today we're looking at Gempire, Zarmund's Demands. This is a game by Gem Games and designed by Paul Elpers. Nick is going to go through how you play and then we're going to give our reviews.
Hey everyone, welcome to the table. We're here set up for a game of Gempire, Zarmund's Demands. In Zarmund's Demands, you're helping King Zarmund build out his ideal capital. In order to do that, you're trying to at least meet 2 of these 3 randomly dealt out goal cards. These are objectives that he would like in his new capital. So we have these randomized. These will be the whole target and will be the end game. If once somebody has 2 of those completed, the game will be over. So let's keep this simple. Let's go over the actions of what we're trying to do in this game. So we have 3 phases. First phase is rolling the dice. So let's just say I rolled these dice. There are 2 outcomes, 2 different types of things that can be rolled. There is science, that are like these beaker flasks, and there are these hammers, which are production. So that is what happens first. I roll this up. Boom. Phase 1 is done. Then you are going to decide in phase 2 what you would like to do as your action. You could take this as your production, resolve these resources. If you do that, you would simply write down the resources here. You can see the production and the science. You're going to write that down. You see this one's either or right here, either a production or a science, and the other 2 are science. So if I want all 3 science, no problem. I would just write the number 3 right here. This is hidden information. Everyone's going to reveal this at the same time. Boom, I reveal that. All I'm doing is taking 3 science. I will move this up level 3 if I'm the green player. So now I have 3 science. That is the end of my, that's it. That's reveal and resolve is the last phase. You can see that right here. I rolled. All players choose an action and then resolve. Well, that's easy. That's your easy ones. You can see the other 2 choices I have are bid on buildings or upgrade my city. So right here, you have note of your 3 choices. So let's say I bid on buildings. In order to do that, I would need to have some production. Production is like currency, these coins right here. So for example's sake, let's say I had 4 production. And I want to bid. So down here, I have cards I can bid on, A, B, or C. I can bid on all 3 or just 1 or 2, however I want to do it. I have the letters that correlate with that right down at the bottom. And this is how much I'm going to bid. I'm going to write down the bid. I do have a minimum I have to bid on these cards. At the bottom right, that indicates the minimum. This indicates what that does when I have it in my tableau. So I only have 4. So what I could do is I could just bid on 1 of these. So let's just make it more interesting and say I have 5. Boom. Now at the beginning of the game, my max is 5. I can only have 5. There are ways to increase your maximum, but right now, at the start of the game, it's 5. So let's say I have 5. I can write down, let's say I want to write down 3 and 2. Okay? That would be my second phase of selecting an action, which is the auction. So I am bidding on buildings. Then I reveal. If I am the highest one of this A and C, I get both cards. If not, let's say somebody beat me on this 2 and had a 3 here. I don't get that. I will lose 1. Not all 2. I will lose 1 always on the one that I lose a bid on. So I would have to spend 4. I won the 3 and I lost that one. So I would take this one that I won and the other player would get that one that they won. And maybe somebody got that as well. If not, it will stay out and will replenish the market. So whatever I win, I put this immediately in my tableau to create a district. A district is an area of the same color. You can see this one has the gold. So this district gives me gold. I have 9 gold. I keep track of that also on this. So I would write 9 right there. And I can erase that because I already solved that. Now, if I were to have tied someone on a bid, it would go by science. And if I were to tie again with science, neither of us win and we both lose a production. Again, remember, production is just a coin. Okay. Last option, upgrade city. We could build out before I get into this, how about we'll touch briefly on it, but I'm going to go back to it. So you could upgrade your city by building a second row. It costs 5 production. Or you can do a palace upgrade. That could be 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9, depending on which level palace you want. So we'll get into it more in a little bit. But those are the other options for upgrading a city. Before we get into that, we want to know the workings of what we're actually doing. So let's just say that in my city, I have these cards. Whenever I add a card to my city, it has to go adjacent, left or right, in this row. If it is not a new row, it will have to go left or right of an existing building. So if I won this card, if I put it here, I would actually close off this gold area because I could not play another gold out. I have it here. All that can go adjacent to it are gold until I close it. So right there, if I played there, I close it. If I played here, I close the purple. Now there's ways to get around that, and that's what I mentioned here about city upgrades. You can spend 5 and write in the upgrade, just write second row. And you have to spend 5 production to do that. And now you can have this, you take this token and you can have a second row. That would actually go above this one. Then you can start out all new, so then you can start building out purples again. Whereas you could not build out any more purples because of what I have done here. Alright, so in this example, if this was my tableau, let's see, we're going to do that. We're going to say this is how I have it set up. So my base value here is gold 9, and I would keep this as a running total. This one says I have 3 of this population plus 1 population per gold building to the right, which is 1. So I would have 4 production. And flags, I have 10 plus 2 per every building of that type. So that is actually 12. So I have hit 10 plus on one of these. That means I get a gem of that color. That's what these gems are for, and they do different things. So let's say we're later in the game, we're going to ignore this tableau, and let's say this is the case right here. So I would have 1 green, 2 gold, and 1 purple. So let's go over what these do, why you want these gems, why they're so important in the game. Green. Remember that I said we can only have 4 production, 4 population. Same thing. So we have 5 at the beginning of the game, 5 that I can hold for this production. Population lets me hold 1 more production. That's represented by these gems. So now I can hold 6 because I have a green gem. That's going to be important because you can see that some palace upgrades, almost all of them, require a 6 or more. It's not possible for me to do a level 2 palace upgrade or 3 or 4 or 5 because I will never have as much production as I need. I could, at the beginning of the game, always do a level 1 upgrade because it costs 5, that's my capacity. But now my capacity is 6 because I got a green gem by virtue of having more than 10. Now if I have 24, I would have 2 of those and have a capacity of 7 instead of 6. Okay, same concept. I have 20 plus here, so I get 2. I have 2 of these gold gems. Gold gems have a couple cool purposes. First off, you can interchange what's here. So if I was stressed for production, well, I could use this as production because anyone can. It shows it right there. I could use that for production. And since I have 2 gold gems, I can change 2 dice. Not for everyone, just for myself. And all of a sudden, I have 3 production when it was only possible before to have 1. So I can take 3. I'd write that down just like I would. Even though it doesn't exist, I have 2 gold. I can make 2 into 2 whatever I want. So I would put 3 production right here. And I can do that in any fashion. Also, if I had, let's say later in the game, I had 7 of these. I have 7 gold. So that essentially sets a minimum for the number of symbols I'll have in that die roll, no matter what's rolled. If only 1 symbol is rolled, it doesn't matter. I have 7 gold. I have set a minimum, a floor, if you will. I have 7 gold. I can create 7 resources. Okay, I will always be able to get 7 resources because I have 7 gold. It sets a floor on for your production. Really cool. And lastly, over here, your culture. What your culture does is it makes it a little easier to accomplish these demands. So if you take a look at any of these, let's just take a look at all 3 in this game. Build a district. Build at least 5 districts with different amounts of cards. Minimum 2 to 1 cards. I can lower that district requirement to only 4 by spending these 3 gems. When I do that, these are numbered 1, 2, 3. I can put them on 1. I could put that. Now, if I just have 1 of these gems on my 1, it doesn't do anything because remember, this one needs 3. So I'm trying to get to at least 30 of the purple so I can get 3 of those gems and actually lower that district count. This one, have the sum of your highest attribute and science be 130 or more. Every gem I put on this number 2 right here is going to give me 6 points toward that. So it's adding, what it's doing is adding the science, whatever my total might be at that point, and it is adding my highest attribute here. I want that to be at least 130, and every purple gem scores 6 toward that total. Here, have at least 10 more science than every other player with a minimum of 40 science. And I can add 5 science to that total per gem I put on the number 3. So it is just helping you get to that end of the game. It is helping you with all that bonus because that is what you end up trying to do is getting here the fastest. Getting to these accomplished the fastest. All right, so that covers that. The last thing I want to cover, last 2 things, I want to cover these techs. This is what you're spending science on. Now, you don't actually spend your science necessarily because you never move down this track. What you do is, if you're the first one to go for this, so this gives you an ongoing bonus, let's say. This one says palace upgrades cost 2 less production. So all these do different things. We're going to take a look at this one. It's going to cost me 23. So all it's saying is it's like a prerequisite. I need 23 science. So let's say I had 25. Okay. That means I have at least 23 if I'm the first one. So then I would put this here. I would put one of my cubes marking that the green player has paid for this. Now it makes it more expensive for everyone else. You can see the number goes up and up. So 27 for the next player that wants to do that. We can all do that in the same turn and pay that cost. But then it gets more expensive if you want to do it in future turns. So palace upgrades cost 2 less production all game. So let's go over what that means. Because that's the one I wanted to explain because I want to go over palace upgrades. But just note that all these do different things, and these are all going to be randomized in the beginning of the game. You're going to get 5 new techs that just get dealt out for your game. You can look over those and kind of go by your strategy. You know, if you want more population to get more production, well, it's going to cost you 13, and you can just do that. If you had a bunch of green buildings out, boom, +3 per every green building. That's a great bonus if you have a bunch of green buildings in your tableau. Okay? That's what this type of stuff does. All right, so palace upgrades. I think that's going to be the last thing I cover. We're just going to put this back out. Palace upgrades right here. These have to do with... So let's go over here. When you do a palace upgrade, it's going to cost that production, and it says that right here. Do you want a level 1, 2, 3, or 5? Well, that's how much production it's going to cost. If you want a level 5, the best one there is, it's going to cost 9 production. So you're going to need at least 4 of these gems, because remember, you can only have 5 production unless you have those green gems. Whatever you decide to do, it's going to go right here. Whatever, this is also randomized. These discs are also random every single time. So there's no incentive to do this one right here because this one doesn't actually give you a bonus. So if I were to do the 9, I would go to the top one because the 9 production is a level 5. So that's all we're saying. A level 5 of this palace upgrade. When I do a level 5, that means I do not just the level 5 right here, but I do every single thing that it's showing. So what's this showing? This is showing symbols that are at the bottom left of the cards. It will give you multipliers. Now, some of them don't have symbols, but you can still put those diamonds, for instance, on those cards because you're trying to reach, whatever you put, you're trying to reach adjacent spots. So for this, if I got the diamonds, I would want them here and here because these 2 cards have a diamond ability at the bottom left. What they do is when I earn those diamonds, so let's just say, for argument's sake, that I did a level 2 palace. That means I spent 6 production, right? I would get a diamond and those 2 science symbols. So let's go over the diamond. I get 1 diamond wherever I want. I would have 2 if I did a level 5, but we're only doing 1. I could put it here or here ideally, because these two do not have diamonds. This one's actually one of the science. So if I did it, let's just say I wanted more gold. Or did I want, maybe I want this because that's pretty nice. I can go up to another level. I can get 2 of those purple gems and make it a little easier for me. So let's just say I did that. That is spending a diamond. This is now worth 20. So I erase that and I put down 22 instead of 12. Same concept here. I would add 9 to this total. It's just doubling it up. And some of these have 2 diamonds, so it can hold 2 diamonds. Now, I only got 1 diamond, so it didn't matter, but I could next time, if I were to do another upgrade, I could put another diamond on it if it had a capacity of 2. The science, I would take the total of the science and be able to move up on the track based on how much science I have. So this one's at 2, so I can do it 2 for every symbol I have. In this case, I have 2, so I can just move up 4 science by doing that. But if I had a bunch of science out here, that could be really helpful because it will start multiplying my science just by building out a palace upgrade. You can only do 1 each of these palace upgrades. You just take one of these markers right here based on which level you did, and that will keep track of that. But that is it. That is the gist of the game. We're going to go back up top and tell you what we think of Gempire Zarmund's Demands.
All right, and we are back. Thank you, Nick, for the overview of how you play Gempire Zarmund's Demands.
You got it.
So this is a game that's coming out on Kickstarter. It's launching almost the last week of September. The exact date escapes me at the moment, but this will be coming out on Kickstarter. This is a game that we actually were introduced to the designer of the game on Twitter. I don't know quite how it happened, but we ended up acquainted with one another. And when we were let me back up and say that we had some requests to play the game through Tabletop Simulator. We don't really tend to play games or try games through that medium. It's just not something we tend to do. So we passed on that opportunity. But then we were given an opportunity to play and demo this game at Gen Con this year. Yeah. So that's how we got this. We were playing with Paul, the designer, and he provided us with a copy of the game, and we are here to review it.
Yes. Figured it would be a good time before the Kickstarter, so we give an honest review. It's not a paid review in any fashion, just an honest review, and that's what he asked us to do. Yeah. So we're going to do that. First thing we're going to talk about is the mechanics of this game.
Mm-hmm. And, go ahead, hon. Sorry.
It's unique. I think this game does things that other games don't do. That's what makes it, that's what really stands out. The fact that you can't get everything you hear in some other games. I love the auction mechanism. I love, there's so many things to consider right when we start the game and it's set up and you see their demands and you see the tech and you're like, this strategy, you're trying to come up with a strategy right away of what might be the best method, what might, you want to go for science, you might want to go for gold. You don't know until the game is set up and the demands are in front of you and the tech's in front of you, and then it just takes off. Then you have to see what's available for auction. Mm-hmm. I love that about this game. I think the mechanics are sound. I think there's quite a bit going on, but nothing terribly complicated. Mm-hmm. And it's unique. That's what really strikes it. That's the big selling point. Is this game? You're not gonna be able to say, "Oh, this is just like this." It's not. It's not like anything. There are things that reminds me of game. Like there's a thing that reminds me maybe of the hidden things in like Guildmaster. Mm-hmm. About writing down that, but it's not Guildmaster. It's totally different. It's a totally different look. The actions are everything feels fresh.
Yeah, and then when you are looking at the auction part, which is a big piece, then there's also the placing a tableau that comes with it and building out your districts.
Yes.
And how you're going to place those and how they relate to each card, keeping track of how you're increasing your population or you're increasing your culture or your gold, and then that unlocks other abilities, which is really neat as well. I think that the mechanics, I agree with you, very unique and very sound in this game.
Okay. Randomness.
Well, you already start with randomly kind of developed palace upgrades. Will have a different reward on the side. The demands are going to change. The tech's going to change. So it's pretty random right to start. The buildings that come out, that's random. There's nothing that you don't start with a base set of anything. Everybody has the same production. No, you make a choice about your production too. So yeah, there really is. There's dice that go into that. What's going to be offered? So that's going to be random right off the bat. There's going to be some chance there with dice, but I think with different abilities you have, you can start to offset what those dice give you and start to change what you're getting from the dice. So I think what amount of randomness there is doesn't at all impact the game in a negative way.
I was going to say, yeah, it's actually a positive. I don't know if there's a game like that where I can say, normally randomness is slightly tilted negative for me. This one, I feel like it's positive because it adds the replayability. The things out there are going to be, you're not going to play the same game twice. You're going to be doing different things. And that's because of randomness. That's because of the randomness of the palace upgrades. It's because of the randomness of the demands, the randomness of the tech, and the randomness of the auctions. That's a pro. That's actually, I'm sure there's other games that are pros for random, but this one stands out as this is a pro of this game. If it wasn't random, we'd be playing the same thing every time. There's a peak strategy. I'm definitely going for the flags. I'm definitely going for the purple flags every game. Well, that might not be great this game. And that's what's awesome about it.
Yeah. So
I think, there's some randomness, but it's actually a plus, which is unique in itself. That's what I stressed at the beginning when we were reviewing right away. It's just a unique game. Okay, game flow. I'll hit on game flow first. This will be my first possible negative, and only because of it feels like it would be better managed in an app form of when these things are adjusting on the fly, and sometimes it's hard to keep track of because all these things have multipliers. Oh, I just added a purple. That's going to give me plus 1, 2, 3. It's going to add these different ones. You have to keep that running total, which could be a problem for some people. However, I will say that it's all right in front of you. You can always recount it. Once later in the game, I feel like that's where the game flow is a little off because that number can be pretty high at some points. Toward the end of the game, you're running like 55 or something. You have to count all these things and then you add the tech onto that. Now, if this were like let's say he wanted us to try it on Tabletop Simulator. If that was scripted, imagine how smooth this game would be at that point. That's the only fiddly part I wanted to touch on. It's just that. Everything else, your actions, super smooth. Do you want to do an upgrade? Do you want to bid? Do you want to get resources? That's it. That's all there is to it. The only thing that's fiddly is adding the totals. Yeah,
and that's where I would often get a little bit stressed out by trying to, while we're rolling into the next thing and the question of, are you going to buy this tech? Well, hold on a second. Let me just see, what have I spent already? I had to keep track in the top right corner of my board. What did I spend already on the tech? Because that, you don't lose tech on the track when you buy things. So you have to keep remembering, okay, what more, how much more do I have to buy more tech? Like there is a lot to keep in terms of the maintenance, and I think that I agree with Nick that it does slow down as you get deeper into the game because you're looking around too. You're seeing what other people are doing, and on top of keeping track of what you're doing, because you need to know: are you the one who's meeting this demand? Are you close to winning? Because you got to keep track. If you don't keep track, no one's gonna go, "Hey, you just won," just so you know. So you're gonna have to figure that out, right? And it's not clear. It's not like passing a line on a race, or it's not. So that's gonna be something that. But you know what? Anybody who's cognizant, cerebral person can probably keep track. And like you said, you're not doomed. It's all out in front of you to recount. Yeah. And the pace of the game is really depends on who you're playing with. I think. Yeah,
you'll be able to. There's no problem. You'll be able to. It's just would I count that as fiddly? Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Downtime, there really isn't any, except for calculating, like we said. There's no downtime. It's your turn all the time. It doesn't matter who the active player is. Anyone can roll a dice. It doesn't matter. Downtime is 10 out of 10, really. It's really close to that because you just...
Make a choice and go, and then even resolving auctions, there's no battling people and you're higher on this, and like we can figure it out pretty quickly of who is the winner of the auction.
Yeah, it's really snappy. You just go once you learn it.
Yeah.
Replayability, another 10 out of 10 for me because of the demands. Everything I already mentioned, you can kind of get the hint that that's a very replayable game. This game is thoroughly replayable. There's tons of tech, there's tons of demands. Any combination leads to different strategies. Yes. There's a ton of buildings, and there's all kinds of palace upgrades that could come out or could not come out. Replayable, amazing.
Yeah, definitely agree with you. Strong replayability in this game.
Scalability. It's 3 to 5 players.
So 3 to 5. So we don't get it. We usually play 2-player games. If you watch our channel enough, you know that Nick and I do play a lot of games together, and Andrew and Sam as well. In this case, we had to play really at 4. We've only been able to play at 4 so far.
Did we play at 5 at the convention? 5? Was it 5?
Yeah, it was.
So we've played 4, 4, and 5. The scales there are fine, but the fact that we can't play at 2 is a little bit of a bummer. I understand why for sure.
Yeah, it wouldn't make any sense. We would know exactly. Yeah. It would be hard to auction against each other.
You just take all of them, take all the cards when you have no money. Yeah. So it definitely needs at least 3. I would say probably 4 is a sweet spot here, maybe.
But that's good because I think that comes with the territory of a game of this style. So if you're gonna have a game with an auction, we tried one, Yarvik, some sort of weird. We were trying to do auctions. It was so weird at 2 players. We didn't even know what to do. I was like, I guess you can just take it. I don't really want to fight you. I don't know. But this one definitely scales well when you get into those more than 2-player counts.
Table size.
Not that bad. I mean, relative to other games we played, it does have one main board in the middle that you have to have the buildings on, and then the tech tree with the tech cards, then the demands, and then the gem area, and a place to roll. Everyone has their own boards. Oh, and how could I forget your tableau? That's probably
we don't have our own boards, like our own little things,
player
right?
board, yeah. So there's that, but then you need your space to build out your districts.
Tableau is the main thing.
Yeah, so I think that it does take up a fair amount of space. We're it doesn't have a huge board in the middle of the table, but it does.
The tableaus.
It does build up quite a bit, especially when you have a second row too of cards.
All right, theme. I'm not a theme guy. The theme here, it doesn't do much for me. How about you?
It's great. No, it's good. I mean, what more can you really look for in what you're trying to capture of the mechanics? I mean, you're building out a city, okay. You're trying to meet the demands of this ruler, okay. I mean, it seems to be like a not fantasy, but almost. I don't know what the theme is, what the name would be for that type of world. But it is, medieval, I guess. It's got some sort of...
Yeah, that could be.
Yeah.
Could be medieval.
RPG, like, game. I don't know what it is. But I do think that the game theme is there, but it's not... I don't see how you could do it any other way.
Okay.
So.
All right, that's fair. Table presence, well, I mean, the gems are going to grab you right away. Anyone that walks up, they're going to see these 4 jars, hopefully I don't drop them, of gems that are beautiful. Mm-hmm. That comes standard, it looks like, because that came in our copy, and we don't have a Kickstarter edition or anything like that. So these are going to grab anybody that looks at it, like, ooh, look at those gems. Now, you do have cubes for science. The cards are just average. The dice tray is awesome. The dice tray was with it. Mm-hmm. The dice are great. I like the dice. Yeah. You get a bunch of dry erase markers, more than you need.
Yeah.
I like having your own little board to write stuff in. I mean, it's good, and there's stuff that's okay. Yeah. So I would say overall it's above average. I mean, for let's say table presence, if we're gonna do components next. The cards I feel are just average. That's the part, and then the cubes. I mean, you have cubes, but what else could you really do? Yeah. I don't know. I
don't know any other way you would really track. It's a.
Yeah, this is a tracker. Mm-hmm. Okay. So that would hit the components as well. So let's go to price value, which we don't know what he's gonna ask for this. So I can't really weigh in on a price value. All I can say is if you do have a good player count for 3, 4, and 5. This has so much replayability that I would say you're probably safe to buy this game if it interests you because of the replayability. How much value are you going to get out of this game? Probably quite a lot. So there is that. If it wasn't as replayable as it is, I would be weary. Yeah. But the replayability is just so strong in this game. So I'll give it a plus here, even though I don't know the exact price. I do know that there is good value.
Yeah, I think the value is definitely there for something different to bring to game night when you do have more than 3 players, so you're probably going to go over to someone's house and you want to show something. It doesn't make for a long teach. It's not going to hurt someone's brain to have to learn it. I think it can be brought to different groups of people to try, and for that reason, the value is certainly there.
Setup time, I think, is great. I set it up just now, and it was super quick. It's not much to set up, really.
Yeah.
A few cards out there. That's about it.
Mm-hmm.
Game length. That's hard to gauge. When we played it at 5, it was everyone learning, and I felt like it took a little too long. But then once you got the game, everyone's doing the same actions. We got to it the end a lot quicker.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna have to say that I'm not gonna dock it at all. It felt like maybe hour 10, 70 minutes, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Maybe hour and a half tops.
And the game box says 45 to 90. So I think that's
45 if you have 3-player game and your guys are really comfortable with it. I can see it burning right through.
Yeah, I think so too. I agree with that. I didn't think that it overstayed its welcome. Again, the game ends when people meet these demands. So it really depends. If people are for some reason not going towards those objectives,
Yeah, if you're new and you're just doing stuff like, oh, that looks cool, then yeah, it's going to take a while because you're not really focusing on how to win the game. You got to make sure you're focusing on how to win the game, otherwise the game will drag.
Yeah, you'll just keep on building a tableau. And, well, there are limits with the districts. You can't keep making, you got rules on that. So, yeah.
Complexity.
I touched on this a little bit when I spoke about how easy this game is to scale and introduce to groups. I don't think it's difficult. The actions are all listed out on your great little player board. And I kept pointing people to this. Anytime we were playing this with new people, I'd say, just check, just look. Like, what you're asking is actually right there at the top. A lot of this is all written here. You can choose to use your dry erase marker to track other things. Like, I was writing down my tech level at the top. But I think that it's not too complex at all.
I agree. It's a midweight game. There's plenty going on, but it's not complex things that are going on.
Yeah.
So here we go. Biggest thing. Is the game fun? Is it fun, Vic?
Is it fun? I think so. I like it. I enjoy just the am I going to win this auction? Should I bid more? Looking at what other people have. Is this the right time that I know I'm going to seize the opportunity? I've got more production than everyone else, so I'm going to try to go for this building that's out there that's really juicy. I enjoy the strategy of, I haven't won yet. Okay. I haven't won yet, but I do like trying to. I like the challenge. I don't want a game that's too easy. So often some games you get in Kickstarter, they're produced really nicely. They look amazing. The videos are like, oh my God, those are real little wooden barrels or whatever you think you're going to get. And you end up with this game that's so produced, so much that went into like the design of it that nobody thought about, like, can I play this over and over and over again? Is it going to be the same thing I'm doing where, okay, auction again, auction phase, we all have to auction now. Not this one. You can choose. If you don't want to do an auction, if you don't feel that the time's right for you and you want to go pursue something else, another action, you could. I mean, you couldn't spend the whole game not participating in an auction, I'm sure. But I do like that we're not getting run through phases and following an order. You're really determining your own destiny and meeting the demands of the game.
I agree. The game is thoroughly fun. I feel like you are different than every other player because you have focused on different gems that give you different abilities.
Mm-hmm.
Your tableau is totally different, and you can do cooler things in certain aspects of the game. How good is it when you have a bunch of production in front of you and you can take all 3 of those cards uncontested because everyone else went to produce? That's an amazing feeling that you can just score 3 cards in one round.
Yeah.
Like, wow, that feels great. Because you're just building up this tableau and you're just racking up them points.
Mm-hmm. And
uncontested sometimes, and that's strategy. That's just you having more production than everyone else. Everyone else is scared. They maybe have 1, 2, 0 production. And they're just helpless. And you just say, boom, I saved it up. This is my time to shine. And it's such a great feeling. It's a rewarding game, especially winning. It reminds me, the win condition reminds me of Inish. I will say that, where you just, boom, I just win. I just won.
Mm-hmm.
Of what, but in Inish there's like a warning,
Yeah.
I gotta give you a warning. Here there's no warning unless you're looking at my stuff, which is good that it's public information because then you know a little bit. It's a little more interaction,
Mm-hmm.
Oh boy, oh, what you got? Oh, only 3 coins. Well, I got 7, so you should probably produce because I'm gonna take them cards.
Uh-huh.
And there's times where you're like, really, are they gonna go for this card? If they get this card.
Oh yeah, I remember the juicy ending the last time we played where there was a real consideration. There were different probabilities. Nick was spewing off statistics. It was pretty wild that way, and it is something else for that one.
So, I mean, just the replayability alone, it's going to score this game pretty high for me. So we'll get into scores. I'm going to give this one, and the only thing I could dock it for is that fiddly nature of the points changing all the time. That's the only thing I docked it.
Yeah.
This could have easily been a 9. I get an 8-5. 8-5, and that's it. That's the only dock I have.
Yeah.
Really, the graphic design, I don't care for the graphic design. I didn't mention that. The cards on the graphic design, not a huge fan, but that was it. Those were the only two that brought it down to an 8.5. So the game itself, if you're saying, hey, I just want an awesome bidding, awesome auction game, like an almost like an engine. I don't know if we want to call it engine build, but the points do accumulate.
Yeah.
So it's like a Tableau build, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really gratifying in all facets.
Yeah, I really like, and one thing I didn't mention yet, also in the funness, is that you get these purple gems and you can apply them to the demands. So you can be kind of sneaky that way, where you're accruing, but once you put them on one demand, you can't just like move them around, because that would be pretty awful for like looking around and trying to track what other people are doing. So love that. That's unique. I like that. My score is...
That's from Minish too.
Oh.
Remember how you get those little things, those deeds?
Yeah.
That minus? That's the purple gems too.
My score for this is very close to Nick's. I gave it an 8.7.
Ooh.
So I was right in line with you. My thoughts, and I shared this with Nick after the last time we played, I just wish I could have a better way of tracking my stuff. Could be more of a me problem, because I would get audited. I'd say, hey Nick, can you double check I'm really 66 population or whatever it was.
For me it was only one game that was like that. The other ones I felt like it was smoother, and then that one's like I had so much. I had text adding on, I had the row adding on. So not every game is gonna feel that way.
Yeah.
It's just that we had so much involved with that was manipulating our numbers.
Yeah.
That it felt like, wow, this is like I have to recount a couple times.
Yeah. But overall, really enjoy this game.
Fun.
We recommend picking up this game and backing the Kickstarter. If you do want to add a game of this nature to your collection, we think you should.
If we didn't get this copy, I would 100% back it. I wouldn't give any pause, even though I tend to back games that are good at 2. This one isn't. But having played it and understanding what's going on, this would be a great 4-player game for our collection. And I know it's tried and true and going to get replayed thoroughly, that I would back this myself. I can honestly say I would back this game if I didn't already have it.
And who does not like writing with a dry erase marker? I don't know many people. I love it.
I don't really care.
Oh.
But
thanks so much for joining us. We hope you enjoyed this Kickstarter review. If you did, please click the thumbs up and subscribe for more great reviews. We'll see you next time.
bye.
Bye.